Here we go again, going live. Yeah, it's a thing now going live. I never used to do it really before unless there was like a work reason, like we were doing a Q&A or something, but it's Mary G, also known as the Unenlightened Stepmom. If you've joined the YouTube page, YouTube channel, which honestly I haven't put any new content up in a few days because I was doing my taxes, but my taxes are finished now. And I'm so grateful to have my taxes finished, although they did an extension, which is great. But I'm happy. I'm happy that they're finished. I'm happy that it's over. So that's a great thing. And I wanted to check in with everyone and see how you are doing, and also uh, share some things that I've been contemplating the past few days, really inspired by conversations that we had on here. We had some conversations on here a few days ago about how to do two things: how to be supportive of other people without being judgmental, or supportive of like public health without being judgmental. And it felt like a lot of people were kind of experiencing that. And I think that it's so wonderful to see that people even notice that about themselves. Like that you even noticed that you found yourself feeling judgmental in a time where you were aiming to be uplifting in the world. And that is such an interesting thing. I mean, I've definitely been there where it's like, oh, I want to do something uplifting, but actually my desire to be uplifting is not uplifting. It's like judgy. It's judgmental in a way. We do this with each other all the time, right? Like if you're not really careful with what you're saying, and you reach out to a friend or something and you want to tell your friend something wonderful, and you think, oh wow, this is gonna really be good for my friend. My friend wants to hear this, and then you say it, and it comes off like judgy, and then your friend, doesn't appreciate what you've said, and it feels actually like it wasn't uplifting for them, and you were like, I was just trying to help you out. Um, and then that happens a lot, and I think that's what people are experiencing now. Is like there's so many people in the world that just want the world to be uplifted, to be healthier, to be happier, for everyone to get back to work and to their lives. And in the process of wanting that for us all, then we end up feeling a little judgy, and the should word comes out, right? The should word, that's a word that I watch even in my teaching, where what should you be doing? People ask that, what should I feel in this posture? Well, it's not that. It's not a should. What should I be doing in this posture? Well, it's not a should. That doesn't really apply in these scenarios, because we're all one, yes, but we're experiencing it in multiplicity. We're experiencing it as individuals, and each individual has a different set of given circumstances. And because of those different given circumstances and that different expression of experiencing oneness, we can't do it exactly the same. There are general guidelines, just like in life. There's general guidelines, and it's the same in the yoga practice. There are big guidelines that we go by. And within those guidelines, whether it's the asana practice for the yoga practitioners, or whether it's life and living virtuously or living well, those guidelines kind of oversee it. But it's not like your experience of straightening your leg will be the same as someone else's experience of straightening the leg. And your experience of homeschooling will not be like someone else's experience of homeschooling. Are they saying everyone should homeschool right now? Yeah. Okay. So everyone is homeschooling right now. That's the point. It's an overlying rule. All the kids are staying home. But within that, we're having a lot of different experiences about what that looks like. And so the should gets tricky. And anytime I find myself wanting to say should, that's a moment where I pause and I go, oh, Mary, what are you about to say? Are you about to tell someone the way that they should be living their life, or what they should be thinking, or what they should be feeling? And it's not going to come across well at all, and it's not going to be received well, and it's going to feel attacking from the other end. Like when someone tells me that kind of stuff, like, hey Mary, you know, you should really use lighting when you do your live streams. It's like, well, sure, but I'm tired and I've been doing a lot. I have actually been, well, everyone's tired. It doesn't matter what I've been doing, but I don't want to use lighting today. Although we have lighting that I can improve the quality of these videos with. Anywho, and so the word should is something to watch out for. And I already knew it was going to be a year of shoulds because it's an election year. And the last time we had an election year, it was constant. It was like people were constantly posting on social media and telling people out loud and telling people to their face what they should be doing, that they should be voting, that they should be voting for this person, that they should be actively involved in whatever way each individual thought other people should be participating. It was like the last election year was so much should. And so I already knew it was going to be like this, but then the coronavirus came along, and wow, there's a lot of shoulds going on. Like, you should do this and you should many things. And I get it, but everyone knows that the instructions are to stay at home. And I'm not so sure that me posting another thing that says you should stay at home is going to help people stay at home. I think it's going to make them feel attacked. It's like, we've been told, everyone knows the instructions are to stay at home and to not interact and to not gather in groups. And if there are people around that are doing those things, that this is kind of the meaty part of this, the vegan meat part of this discussion is like, I'm saying that should because it's for all of us. It's for our public health, right? Maybe you could say that, but however, it's causing you confliction and stress. It's causing you turmoil because you're upset over the people that aren't doing the things that they should be doing. And if you do say something, then you're also causing turmoil in someone else's life. So that including that word in the sentence, is creating turmoil in your life and in the lives of the people on the receiving end. And I know this because I'm a vegan, and the vegans love to use the word should. And we like to say, you should be plant-based and you should this and that and this. There's a lot of shoulds, right? Well, if you care about female rights, then you should not take part in the dairy industry. All these things. The vegans are really into the shoulds. And that's how I know about that word should, because I am a vegan and I hang out with the other people that are also vegan. And so I hear it all the time. Well, if people say that they're environmentalists, then they should be vegan, or, all those types of things. And I see how it affects people, and it's not uplifting. It doesn't necessarily make them feel good. There's got to be another way to articulate it. There definitely is. I'm just saying that was what it was for me in that learning process, was like, oh, people don't like that. That doesn't feel good. And then I started noticing when other people would do it to me, like, you know what you should do? You should do this. And it's kind of like, you know what you should do? You should mind your own business, right? Like, I'm going to learn this stuff, right? So if we want to like help each other and uplift each other and educate each other, there's another way other than the should word. And so we talked the other day about the Yoga Sutra from chapter 1, number 33, Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavanatash Chitta Prasadanam. And we were talking about the word upeksha, the disregard. And I looked it up in my giant Sanskrit dictionary. It's a big Sanskrit dictionary. It's big. And it does say, you guys, upeksha, it does say indifference, overlooking, disregard. It says those words, which, there you go. Overlooking, disregard, even negligence is in here. Indifference, but then it goes on to say endurance and patience. I don't know. Anyways, I think that that's pretty interesting. It does say disregard and it does say indifference. So the word upeksha there, indifference to the wicked or indifference to the opposite of virtue. When you see the opposite of virtue, to have indifference or disregard towards that which is the opposite of virtue. And that's kind of what got us on the topic of like, well, how do I do things and how do I support the upliftment of the world and have disregard? And I thought of something that I really wanted to share with you guys, because for me, it like really congealed this into something that I said, oh, okay, I get it. I get that. And it's from an amazing book called Garland of Forest Flowers by Swami Nirmalananda. I love this book. And I don't know, this guy is pretty far out. And there's a section in here called Enlightened Anarchism, which sounds really nice, doesn't it? I mean, I think it sounds nice. Enlightened Anarchism. And that's kind of really where this comes in. And he says that enlightened anarchism is the need of the hour. Enlightened anarchism. So anarchy, but enlightened anarchy is the need of the hour. And this was written a long time ago. So when you say it's is the need of the hour, it means any hour, every hour. Oh, Amanda Connor, hi. I don't know if you're still here, Amanda, but hi. Mm-hmm. Okay, so enlightened anarchism is the need of the hour for an unenlightened being. Even when his heart tells him to do good, his mind makes him do evil. It is only through enlightenment that one is able to live as a free and intelligent person. Well, that's interesting in general because we live in a country where freedom is really valued, and we all want to be free, especially in yoga classes. But now it's gone mainstream. Like even Lady Gaga caught on board with the freedom mantra, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. And like all the yoga people went bananas because Lady Gaga used the mantra that we've all been using forever. Anyways, we say that, may all beings everywhere be happy and free. And I think this is a really nice and clear statement saying that we're not actually free until we're enlightened, until we reach clarity. And I don't mean enlightened, and I don't think that he means enlightened in a way that's really like unattainable and unreachable. Okay, so when you hear that word, that word can cause a lot of separation. It feels like it has a lot of, oh, Devin, what's up, girl? Devin, it's good to see you. When you hear that word enlightened, I feel like it kind of makes people go, oh, no, that's too much of something for me, too much virtue or too much, I don't know, too unattainable. Nobody likes to feel like they're being talked to about something that's unattainable. I love you. But think about enlightenment more as like complete clarity, total freedom, absolute freedom. Mean that you're in control of your own mind, that your mind is not in control of you. And that is attainable, you guys. It really is. I do it sometimes. And the more that I practice being in control of my own mind, the more consistently I do it. I mean, I don't do it all the time. I do it less than I do. I do it less than I'm not doing it. Like more often my mind is in control of me than I am in control of my mind. But you know what, guys, I'm catching glimpses and it's possible and we can get more and more consistent. So I don't want that word to just kind of turn you guys away, but I thought that was really nice. Like you're not really free. We're over here talking about we want to be free and we're not even free. Like we don't even know what that means to have freedom if we're still trapped in the confines of our own mind. Okay, so it's only through enlightenment that one is able to live as a free and intelligent person. There is a world of difference between a bird sitting and singing on a tree and a bird singing in a cage. That's crazy, you guys. I hadn't read that in a long time. Hi, Lauren Kelly and Lauren Griffin. And hi, Scott. Are you still traveling, Scott? Are you home? You're about to go into quarantine for like 2 weeks. Scott just came back from Costa Rica, I think. But it's really interesting. I haven't read that line in a while about there's a difference between the bird sitting on a tree and singing and a bird sitting in a cage and singing. But on my vision board that I made earlier in the year with Kristen Nice during her workshop in the beginning of January, I put an image of two birds sitting outside of a cage singing. And now I'm reading this and it's like, I'm looking at it. It's right there. It's behind you guys, my little vision board, and it's got those birds singing outside a cage. Okay. There's a world of difference between a bird sitting and singing on a tree and a bird singing in a cage. It is only when the mind is free that a man can be free, not otherwise. With a free and quiet mind, we are able to live with a song of life and a song of love and a song of joy in our heart. Ah, isn't that beautiful? I love that. It's like really nice. Jeff Huft, haven't seen you in a long time, man. So that's kind of the intro. What is enlightened anarchism? Because it sounds crazy if you're just tuning in. We're talking about enlightened anarchy. Enlightened anarchy. And the whole reason is the enlightened anarchy is empowering us to be able to feel free within ourselves and offer freedom to others while uplifting the world. And that's why he says we're able to live with a song of life, a song of love, and a song of joy in our heart. Yet our freedom, he says the word should here, which is the word I said not to use, but whatever. Yet our freedom should not be used as a reckless license to do anything as we please. In true freedom and happiness, we like whatever we do, but not doing always whatever we like. In true freedom and happiness, we like whatever we do, but not doing always whatever we like. And you hear this about in yoga practitioners all around the world and people that have had the opportunity to go to ashrams, like that's a big part of it. I heard once that Sadhguru was giving a talk and a woman like stood up and asked him like, hey, when I'm at this ashram, when I'm here, I'll like cook and clean all day and it feels so nice. And I know I'm cooking for my guru because, you know, she's there at that ashram because she's like into that. But when I go home to my family, I'm full of contempt. I'm like, I don't want to cook and clean for my family. I'm always kind of like rolling my eyes and I'm not grateful. And he said to her, like, well, what's the difference? Like, either way, you're cooking and cleaning for God. Whether you're cooking and cleaning at an ashram or whether you're cooking and cleaning at home with your family, like, why is that different? Or in that scenario, you know, it's in India, it's like that guru model. So you're happy to cook for your guru, but you're not happy to cook for your children and your husband. It's kind of an interesting thing to think about. And this is a big teaching in that. In true freedom and happiness, we like whatever we do. So when I'm at my ashram, not me, but I've never been to one, but when someone's at an ashram, it's like, oh, well, when I'm at an ashram, I like whatever I do. Am I sitting and meditating for 6 hours? Am I cooking? Am I cleaning? Am I, you know, whatever? We like it. It's at an ashram. It feels sacred. It feels holy. Then when we go home, it's like, oh, we don't want to do those things. So we've got to close the gap there. We have to realize that freedom occurs when we start to find gratitude and we start to like and enjoy the things that we're doing, that we're already doing, not just doing whatever we like. It's not like now I'm at home and I don't get to do whatever I like because these children have to eat so many times a day. Because they do. For all you parents that are at home right now with your kids, you know, right? All you do is like cook and clean. I don't even know how we're like, as many of you know, we homeschool all the time. And it's like so hard to fit the homeschooling in between the cooking and the cleaning because all you're doing is preparing a meal, cleaning up from the meal, preparing the next meal, cleaning up from that meal, you know, then with the snacks in between. And it's like, I don't know what it is about snacks. Sometimes they're convenient, but they're like the messiest, like rice cakes. Our daughter loves rice cakes. And so it's an easy snack. I pull it out of a bag. I give it to her. Well, I think it's an easy snack. And then I give it to her. And it's like one bite and little rice puffs are like rice cakes just explode when kids eat them. And then she's like walking from where I gave her the rice cake to the table. And there's just like rice cake explosion the whole way. And as the rice cakes are exploding all over the kitchen, I'm like slowly dying inside. Like, I thought a rice cake would be an easy snack. Like, now I have to like pull out the handy vac and like sweep. There's rice cakes everywhere. Anyways, so that's the teaching. In true freedom and happiness, we like whatever we do, not doing always whatever we like. Okay. So then the next part of this, so for those, we're talking about enlightened anarchy, um, total happiness and freedom. And the next part goes into why I wanted to bring it up, because this has more to do with then how do we still continue to uplift each other and uplift the world without casting judgment, without using all of the shoulds, telling people what they should be doing. So instead of going there, instead of saying you should be doing this, instead we're living in a way that frees our own hearts from that judgment, and it also frees the people on the receiving end. So as we move into this next part in Enlightened Anarchy, if you're just tuning in, A Garland of Forest Flowers, Megan, you have this book. I told your mama to get it for you for Christmas. But yeah, this is the next part. He says, it is important that we should not, he uses the word should a lot, which I know. I said not to use the word should. But it's an instructional book, I guess. And it's saying, if you want to be happy, you should do it this way. Okay. Anyways, it is important that we should not infringe upon the freedom of others. We have no right to judge or condemn anyone, as each one follows one's own nature. As far as possible, we should not interfere with the affairs of other people. Let people live their own life in their own way. One of the cardinal principles of life should be not to cause any harm to others, not to exploit or enslave anyone on any account. Now, that might have been hard for many of us to hear, that whole paragraph, because it's like goes against a lot of what social media stands for. Because when we're on social media, it's like, well, this is the place where I get to judge and condemn and tell everyone how they should be living their life. Not all of you guys. I know you're not. But this is what I hear happens on social media. Not the people that I follow on social media. Not all of you guys. You're not doing that. But you know what I'm saying. I do it too. We all do it. And a lot of times I catch myself right before I post something because I hear the word should, or I see it in my thing. You should be this. And I go, oh no, that's a form of what he's saying is that's a form of attempting to enslave someone. Because as we talked about, it's freedom of the mind that creates freedom of the being. And so if we're trying to enslave their mind, if I'm saying, you should think this, or you should do this, in a way, it's like I'm trying to exert power, whether I'm doing it like joyfully and making it look really elusive and exciting, like come and join me. That's manipulation. That's still a way I'm trying to enslave someone, or whether I'm doing it through authority, which I tend to err on that side of being like very authoritative. And in a way where someone's like, well, the way she said that means, well, I better just do it that way, right? I better just do that. So that's something that I watch out for in myself. So I just love that idea of like, let people live their own life in their own way. And if that's part of the enlightened anarchy, if we're all doing that, it ends up being good. And I know we feel like, well, but other people aren't working towards enlightenment. If I'm working towards clarity, if I'm working towards faith, if I'm nourishing those practices in my daily life and other people aren't, well, who's going to control those people? And then you hear that word and it's like, oh, control, because we're obsessed with control. We want everything to be just so, and it'll never be that way. Even if everyone followed the rules, then there would be something chaotic, like coronavirus, COVID-19. There's always something. It doesn't matter. Nature is chaotic. One time I was watching this nature show, and it was about zebras. I don't know, maybe you guys have seen one of these before. And it was really crazy. And it basically, male zebras, they go around with harems. Like they have lots of women. So the male zebra has lots of female zebras, but there's really only one male zebra. And he's the stud, and he impregnates all the female zebras. Well, every now and then, male zebras battle it out, and a new male zebra takes over. Okay, so then the new male zebra takes over. And when he does, all the other, like the other male, is out of the picture. And any child that came from that stud. So if there's a baby zebra and the new male zebra realizes that it's from the other male zebra that he just kicked out of the group, he kills the baby, like violently. It's crazy. I mean, when I saw it, I was all, like tears and devastated. And then I just was reminded of the like sheer kind of chaos that is nature. It has this really kind of I talked about it the other day, this idea of like, if we're living in a world where there's infinite possibilities, you're going to see the antithesis of everything. If a virtue exists, the opposite will also exist. Always. It's the way that it works. So if something exists, its opposite also exists in the world, which is kind of crazy. But it just, for me, it's a little calming, because then I don't have to be surprised by chaos or by lack of virtue. Like, so we have 5 cats. One of our cats is kind of feral, not kind of, she's feral, but she comes in now. And she had just had a bunch of babies, and she needed a home because when someone found her, and if you call animal control and it's a whole litter, they just euthanize them all. So someone reached out, said, can you foster this family of cats? So we did. We fostered them, and then we kept all but 2 of the kittens. So we have 4 kittens and mama cat. And she was totally wild. She had never been inside her whole life. So she's been with us. And just recently, this feral cat, I mean, you could not go near her. She didn't want to have anything to do with humans. She would come inside and eat, and that was it. Just in the past like 4 months, she started to let us pet her and scratch her. It started when she was eating, she would tolerate it. And then she would let us come over and pet her anytime. Just Eddie and I. And then she started coming to us for petting. I mean, this happened after over 2 years. Suddenly she was doing this. And she hasn't been home in like 2 days, which happens every now and then. And usually when she's hurt. She gets hurt and we don't see her for a couple days. And then she comes home and we see that she's hurt, and we kind of force her to stay in a little. I know, control, right? Not letting her be free. I know it's a complicated thing. Well, she's been gone for like a day or so, and I've been worried about her. And then our neighborhood has a Facebook page, and I saw someone comment on there that someone in our neighborhood that's obviously losing their mind because of COVID-19 shot their cat, like with a handgun. Not a BB gun, shot their cat. So now I felt immediately worry and anxiety that like, where's my mama cat? I just want her to come home, because there's clearly someone in the neighborhood that doesn't like cats and thinks that target practice on live animals is amusing in some way, which is just really, I mean, it's not cool. It doesn't feel good. And I've been freaking out about it. And then I had to be like, Mary, number one, shooting something with a handgun is actually quite difficult. Like, if someone is doing that, it's hard to hit a moving target. Our cat doesn't go near humans. It's not like it's laying on someone's driveway. If she's out, she's hunkered down, and she'll eventually come back. And I have to just have faith in that and hope that she's okay. But the kind of chaos of it made me worry, and it also started to make me feel hateful thoughts, like angry and hateful thoughts. And I was like, whatever, I don't need to go into them. I'm sure you have the idea. You might have even just experienced them, like somebody is like shooting handguns. Yeah, because things get crazy. Like, things get crazy sometimes, and I have to not be surprised. And that's kind of what I feel like with yoga. What it's really helped me do is not be surprised when people are literally the opposite of virtue. If virtue exists, then some guy or woman or something living in a cul-de-sac in my neighborhood has a handgun and is shooting cats. So that also exists. Virtuous people exist and the opposite exists, right? These things, it's like we have to know that. At some point, we have to use our intelligence to understand that for every virtue that exists, the opposite also exists. And thinking that if that's going to change um, could be a little foolish. And it doesn't mean that all humans can't be virtuous, but there's still going to be chaos. There's still going to be earthquake. There's still going to be tsunami. There's still going to be volcanic eruptions. Like there's still going to be these things that are chaotic and that take away from life. Even if all of us uplift, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe if all humans became enlightened together, the energy would be so powerful that it would just turn into Eden for eternity. Could be, could be, but I think that's why this is such an important teaching. This idea of upeksha or indifference or disregard is in this way, and why in this particular book Swami Nirmalananda is saying we have to let people live their own lives because we're gonna see the opposite of virtue. And we have to make decisions then of what we do with our own minds and hearts that keep us from turmoil and conflict, that bring us happiness and freedom. And and that's the goal. If the goal is happiness and freedom, then we need to make then the idea is okay, let me make choices now that support happiness and freedom for at least myself. And I think it will carry outwards into others. So letting people live their own life in their own way is so difficult. Not to tell other people what they should do. It's quite a difficult thing. And he goes on to talk about this, and he says it's an impersonal universal vision that is needed. An impersonal universal vision. I feel like you could just write that down and then just think about it. What does that mean? An impersonal universal vision. A vision for the collective that's impersonal. A collective vision that's impersonal. He says, seeing the present plight of humanity, many concerned individuals are trying to create a better world and society according to their cherished ideals and beliefs, which are the result of their mental conditioning. All the reforms and transformations that are being brought about in society with all good intentions, but with a conditioned mind, will degenerate after a while and then will require further reforms and changes, and therefore are not the lasting solutions. That's kind of crazy. A conditioned mind. So again, we're talking about the mind. A mind that is free is a being that is free. A conditioned mind is a mind that isn't free. A conditioned mind is surely a source of misery, mischief, and bondage. And it will cause only further conditioning and slavery of the mind. It is the impersonal universal vision that makes one true, genuine, broad minded, and large hearted with a universal outlook, not one's belief or ideology, however well sounding. It is good to remember that each one of us is born for a different purpose, that each one is unique in many ways with a distinct destiny and therefore has a different mission to fulfill. We cannot fulfill it if we get lost in the mass mind. So there you have it. The impersonal universal vision. Because when we have a vision that's based on conditions, a conditioned mind, and we want to get other people on board, then we're also just encouraging more conditioned minds. We're just doing more conditioning, which he's saying is a form of slavery. It's like we're enslaving ourselves and others through conditioning, through mental conditioning, which is kind of an interesting thing. So he's saying if we give everyone the right to think what they want to think, to believe what they want to believe, which is what our entire country is founded upon, to believe what we want to believe, to be able to worship in the one way we want to worship, to be able to live in the way that we want to live. That was the freedom, which is very yogic in nature. That was the type of freedom that this nation was founded upon. We've kind of moved away from it because now it's all, well, you should believe this. and you should believe that. And it feels like it's collective, but it's collective conditioning. It's not collective emancipation. It's collective conditioning. So that's anyways, that's what he's saying there, and I think that that's a good thing to consider in these times, is that it's an impersonal universal vision that we need, and not so much a personal, not Mary's belief that's out, although it might feel like this is what this is, and maybe it is, therefore, like, don't take it or leave it. I'm not saying that everyone should think this. There were just some questions about how to navigate this world where so many people are seem to be struggling, and we want to uplift them. Yet it's coming from what kind of place of judgment and what you should be doing. And here, Swami Nirmalananda is saying, "Hey, what if we try letting people live their own lives? Like, back off of telling other people what to do, um, and see what happens." See if you gain more freedom just in doing that, if you think about it. Because right now, what's the social conditioning? What are we all being mentally conditioned to do? You know what it is. We're all being mentally conditioned to go onto social media, or to call our loved ones, or to email them and say, you should be staying at home. Please stay at home. Um, don't gather with your friends. Don't do this. Don't do that. Wear gloves. Do all these things. What if you did all those things and trusted that other people were doing those things? And that way it was like the same things would be happening. Like the people that are getting together and having parties, they would still be doing that. Yet you wouldn't be upset about it. You see what I mean? It's like the dualities are going to exist. There's going to be people that stay inside and self quarantine, and there's going to be people that do the exact opposite. All dualities are going to exist in this scenario, whether or not you want them to. They're going to. So we either act from a place of conditioning, and then we just make people feel like poop. We make them feel like crap about themselves, and we create more divisiveness between us, because it's like, oh, well, here goes Mary again on one of her yoga kicks, telling us not to judge others. Well, I'm going to judge if I want to judge. And like, right on, like, get with it. Sometimes I judge. I'm not pretending that I've transcended all of these things. But I do think that it's I do think that that in itself, that me sitting here and going, I'm going to stay home and I'm not going to worry what my neighbors are going to do, that starts to break me out of conditioning. That starts to free my mind. Like, if I go, I'm going to do this virtuous thing, and it doesn't matter if nobody else does it. Honestly, in my heart, like, if I free my heart and my mind from caring about what they're doing, my mind starts to become free. I feel it. I feel it happening. I feel the weight lift off, and I also feel the judgment start to leave. It frees my mind from conditioning. The moment that I start to go, hey, that's fine. I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to let them live in the way that feels good for them, whatever is uplifting them right now. It's like the other day I made a video about immunity stuff, and you guys know this, like, well, maybe you don't know it. I don't want to assume that you know it, but one of the things that really doesn't help the immune system is sugar. It's like, if your immune system is compromised, or if collectively our immune systems are compromised, the idea, you stay away from sugar. It's really good, right? Yeah, free the mind, David. It's like, however, one of my most favorite parts of all of this is, somehow, with all the chaos that is going on, I feel like it gave me license to just eat Oreos. Like, I'm just eating Oreos every day. I love them, and they're so yummy. It's like the vegan person's just greatest pleasure is to indulge in Oreos. They're so yummy. And it's like, you should be staying away from sugar. Like, I could say that to myself, Mary, you should be staying away from sugar. But then I just eat those Oreos, and it feels so good. And it's like, these Oreos are uplifting me. And by like tapping into that, by just letting go of the should and the judgment, the mind gets freed. Right? So if we want to have this kind of collective conscious shift upwards into elevated realms, it's the impersonal. The impersonal universal vision is needed. It means that you live your life with the virtues that you want to have. Understand that whatever virtue that you know of, the opposite also exists. So you have to be by yourself and go, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to allow myself to care what other people are doing. And your mind will start to free. It will start to liberate from conditioning, because that's the conditioning. It wants all of us to think the same thing. It wants to conditioning is about enslaving the minds and therefore enslaving people. I know these are big words, and they're honestly they're not uplifting words. There's other words that are better, like just conditioning or entrapment. Maybe those words are better, so that we can break free of the cage. Like Swami Nirmalananda said, Laura Golden is what? Laura Golden, I want to come see you in Tennessee. Oh, man, one day I'm going to come. And he's saying there's a difference between the bird that is sitting on the tree and singing and the bird that is sitting in the cage and singing. And so we have to ask ourselves, like, am I sitting in a cage singing, or am I sitting on a tree singing? I think that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. Um, he goes on to say, if you're just joining, I was sharing some wisdom from A Garland of Forest Flowers by Swami Nirmalananda. He says, we are the cause of our own bondage. Man, learning that was so powerful for me, because I don't know about you guys, but like victim mentality feels easier sometimes. It feels easier to be like, other people did this to me. It's because of other people's actions that I'm suffering, and that I feel that I feel trapped. No one likes to feel trapped. Nobody does. It makes us panic. Even animals. Mimis would say that, right, Mimis? Yes. No one likes to feel trapped. It doesn't feel good. And so if we feel trapped, we're like trying to escape. There's like someone did that once, where they had like glass doors, and it's like when you see someone that doesn't realize that you're supposed to push the door instead of pull the door, and they start to panic. It's called A Garland of Forest Flowers, Eric. It's really good. A Garland of Forest Flowers. It's like short. It's very short, and it has all types of little gems in it. It's really good. But yeah, my friend had a studio. Where was it? It was like on the Upper East Side once, this little yoga and fitness studio. My friend Jess had one. And the door, like when it pulled in, but it looked like it should push out. And people would always go to leave, and they would try to push the door, and they couldn't get out, and they would start panicking. She would tell me, like, people just start freaking out because they think they can't get out of the door, and they're like hitting on it and like banging, and then it's just a pull. It just goes the other way. And so, but he's saying that we're actually the cause of our own bondage. We're the one that he says, each one has to untie the knots and make oneself free, fearless, happy, and harmless. A perfectly happy individual is a harmless individual, and such a person will not be antisocial. I don't know why. It is often the unhappy persons who create troubles and problems. Okay, and then the next thing he says can be a little hard to hear for some people, but it could be true. We often find that those who start a crusade to make others more happy are themselves unhappy within. Right? It's like, I find that social media is a really good sign of that. Like, the more that I have this desire to like post things, okay, like yesterday I was posting all types of hilarious memes that were cracking me up. I mean, some of those memes yesterday like had me crying, the like COVID-19 ones, and Oh my gosh. I was crying with the hairdresser one, like, get set for parents cutting their kids' hair again with all the pictures of kids from the 80s with terrible haircuts. And then, like, my friend texted me and said that she had just cut her son's hair and that he hated it so much he went into his room and cried for 20 minutes. Like, right after I posted that meme, and I couldn't help it. I was laughing so hard, and I was sharing all those memes, right? And it can seem like, oh, Mary just wants to cheer everybody up. No, I was doing my taxes. I was doing my taxes. I needed cheering up. It's like when you see that, when you kind of see that crusade to, like, if you know, when you feel that urge, oh, I should go online and post, just take a deep breath. It's because you just want to take a deep breath, right? It's like when we're crusading, it's because we're the ones that need it. If I'm crusading to make others happy, it's because I'm unhappy, is what this is saying, what this book is saying. And it could be true. It could be true. I won't tell you because that wouldn't be fair. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you should believe it's true. It's that would go against what we're talking about, but it's worth listening to. All sides are worth listening to and worth contemplating, and I love it. It's so if you get that book, you'll enjoy it. And I just think even the concepts, even the way that he titles it, like Enlightened Anarchy, is really interesting to think about in itself. And Impersonal Universal Vision, I think is really interesting to have collective vision that's not about me. It's not about me and an agenda that I have. When I first met Eddie G, I remember he used to tell me that when I would plan classes, I would kind of talk to him about themes that I was thinking about using. And he would say, it feels like that has an agenda. It feels like you're kind of going in there with this like personal agenda. And I thought, oh, yeah, isn't that what we're supposed to do? And he said, well, what would it be like if it was agenda less? Like what would it be like if you didn't have an agenda? How would then you come across, or how would you articulate a teaching if it wasn't based on some personal inner agenda? And I thought that was a really interesting concept. And and again, that's kind of what we're talking about. Can we have universal vision that's not based on personal agenda? Like, the obvious ones, if I'm talking about myself, an obvious one is that I've already mentioned is that I'm vegan. So it's like, so I could utilize this whole COVID thing to be like a way to promote vegan agenda. I'm not doing that, but I could do that. You see what I mean? And it's like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for everybody to realize why we shouldn't have animal agriculture. You see, so it is uplifting in nature. It's good intentions in nature. It's like I've done the research. I know the effects of large animal agriculture, and I know what it does to the climate, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know what the connection is between those two. I haven't done that research myself. Between I've seen people talking about it recently about our use of animals and COVID. But either way, um, we could do that. But then again, it's promoting a universal vision based on conditioning and personal agenda. So how do we come up with universal vision that's impersonal? What does that look like? I don't know if I have an answer to that. I could think about it. I don't know if thinking about it can happen while I'm talking, because then I'm just thinking about hearing myself talk. And I would have to be silent to really contemplate it. And then you know how people are nowadays. It's like if I get silent, it's going to get weird. If I just sit here and contemplate for like 5 minutes, people will be like, this is weird. Have you noticed that? Like YouTube videos, even podcasts, they like edit out all the pauses. It's crazy. It's just like it goes and goes. There can be no pauses. But in real life, there's pauses. So that's something that I should probably just end on, because you have to pause and reflect on that. What does it mean to have a universal vision, a vision for the collective that's not based on personal agenda, that's not based on personal ideology? In a way, I think it kind of goes back to the beginning of like the idea of, oh, well, then I guess it should be everyone should just live their life the way they want to. Everyone, I guess it would be like freedom, absolute freedom. Think what you want to think, believe what you want to believe, live how you want to live, which feels kind of scary to say it. But also, if you allow yourself to just dip your toes in it and see if it starts to free your mind, though. Like, do you expand your mind in dipping your toes in those types of ideas? Like, if you just say to yourself, "Huh, I'm gonna just I'm gonna just sit here with like letting people live however they want to live, whatever way they want to live, drink what they want to drink, eat what they want to eat, medicate in whatever they want to medicate, in whatever way they want to medicate. You know what I mean? Self quarantine if they want to self quarantine, get get together in their neighbor's garage if they want to. Like, I'm just going to let people live the way they want to live. Does your own mind start to free up? Do we free our minds? I mean, this is the thing. Even with the rules that are, see, in laws, they kind of trick us. And I think that's why it calls it anarchy, because we fight for our rights, but then by creating laws, we're actually taking away the freedom of our minds. Okay. Meaning, like, if we're having a if we're trying to pass laws for a type of equality, let's say a gender equality or a right to like be genderless, you know, or that right to just not even feel like you have to choose a gender. If someone's fighting for that right and we're trying to put it into law, well, then we're telling other people what they should think. So while we're fighting for our right to think and live the way we want to think and live, we're telling other people how they should think and live. It's kind of like a really interesting thing. I mean, I'm just saying to contemplate it, dip your toes in it. It's like, if I want to be whatever I want to be, if I want to be free to just be and not have to be labeled and not be categorized and not be discriminated against, is there also room for me to just know that the opposite will exist? Again, that we have to remember that all dualities exist. So if I love cats, and I do, I have to also accept that there are many people out there that despise cats. If I like tacos, and I do. Yeah. Can you hold it? Oh, I don't know if it'll be on audio, David. If I love tacos, and I do, I don't know. I have to know that there's going to be someone that doesn't like tacos. Do you guys know that there's people that don't like cilantro? When I hear that, it blows my mind. But then, and I want to be like, that's crazy. People that don't like cilantro, what world do they live in? But you see what I mean? It's like, that doesn't work. That's not freedom. I have to love cilantro and love people who don't love cilantro. I have to find it in my heart to do that. And if I can do that, I start to free my mind. And then I'm liberating myself. And I'm the bird that's singing outside the cage and not the bird that's singing inside the cage. I'm just holding it up for a long time just in case. I don't know why. Just in case I'm moving around or there's glares. A Garland of Forest Flowers by Swami Nirmalananda. Enlightened Anarchy. Impersonal Universal Visions. Get with it, you guys. Get weird. It's good stuff. Because when we free our minds, we free ourselves. Oh my gosh, Dave, that's not true. You like cilantro. They put cilantro on everything at Amansala. Oh, see? Yeah, I don't get it. I love cilantro on everything. Mmm. See, and I love you, Dave. Therefore, I have the capacity to love cilantro and love people that hate cilantro. I can do it. And then we just got to widen that out. That feels silly, but then we got to widen that out. And it's like, I've got to like love something and love people that do the opposite. It doesn't mean you've got to live with them. It mean like in the same house with them, but we learn to love them anyways. Okay, that's enough talk. I enjoyed this. I liked talking about Oreos, Enlightened Anarchy, and Impersonal Universal Visions, and cilantro. Check out the YouTube channel, The Unenlightened Stepmom. And right now I'm just doing these long videos on there. So if you have time, you can go on and you can watch it later there, or listen to it if you missed any of it, or you want to share it with someone. It's on YouTube. Maybe one day I'll make shorter videos and stuff like that, but then I have to think about editing and etc. And so it's all good. But thanks for those that joined and commented on Facebook. It's always nice to interact with you guys. I hope to be able to oh no, well, I hope to be able to get you guys on YouTube too, so that we can like chat in YouTube and have a good time. And I appreciate all that you're doing, everyone. And I didn't bring this up because I think that you guys should be doing other things on social media. Hi, Fallon. I brought it up for myself, as always. If I'm talking about things, right? If someone's on a crusade, it's for themselves. So I bring it up for myself to remind myself, oh, hi, Carl. So nice to be with Amanda and Carl too. Oh, hold the book up again. Okay. Here it is. A Garland of Forest Flowers by Swami Nirmalananda. I don't know how many reproductions of this there are, and if it looks different. Oh no. But yeah, there we go. And so for me, I need to hear these things because man, especially when we have lots of free time, I start to go down social media black holes, and then I feel all those things, and I need to hear this definitely. And I hope that it doesn't feel that I want to project it onto you. But if you're interested and you want more, then you can dig in and dip your toes yourself and see how that goes. And it's always nice to be with you guys. So maybe check out the posts that are on the Unenlightened Stepmom on YouTube. You're welcome, Marquita. You're welcome. And we can chat again another time soon. I hope all is well. You're all doing a great job. All of you parents are doing a great job. All the yoga teachers are doing a great job. If you're unemployed, don't worry, you're doing a great job. I'm thinking of everyone during this time, and I just hope that we get through it, and maybe we'll free our minds a little in the process, and that would be a good thing for everyone. So have a wonderful rest of your evening. Many blessings to all, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Much love.